All right, everybody. So today's interview is going to be just a ton of fun. I'm going to guarantee that right now, because if you can think of your data as like a block of marble, beautiful marble, my guy here, Razi Imam, and his team at 113 Industries, they can help you bring the David out of your data. And I saw it on your website and I'm like, man, that is the coolest thing ever. And I'm going to lead off with that because that's exactly what 113 Industries does. And Razi, I'm so glad to talk to you today. It's been too long before we hit the record button. You mentioned it's been like 10 years or so since I last interviewed you about your first book.
Exactly.
I'm like, no, it hasn't been that long. And you're like, yes. I'm like, oh, I've lost it.
It's okay. All good.
How did that much time go by? So I'm so glad you're taking the time to talk to us today because there's so much to talk about. Because first off, I think 113 Industries is one of Pittsburgh's most exciting companies. I mean, as we get into some conversations about how you help your clients, I think people listening and watching today are going to be like, whoa. And then when we talk about the books that you've been writing, people are going to be like, whoa.
It's been a fantastic ride for the last 10 years. You know, when you interviewed us, we just started 113 in 2010.
Right.
And you gave us, you know, at that time we were still finding our legs. We knew that we wanted to get into the space of artificial intelligence, and we wanted to get into the space of natural language processing because Carnegie Mellon is so close and everything. But we still weren't sure how things would work out because it was a new endeavor for my partner Anupam and myself. And we were thinking, okay, you know, but that's the beauty of Pittsburgh. You know, you're literally 1 degree of separation from anybody and everybody, you know. And when we started in, you know, figuring this out, lots of people came out and started putting pieces together for us and supporting us. And they said, you know what, maybe you should try do this and try to, you know, interact with the following clients. And before you know it, we started having conversations with the clients like Hershey, which was a very big opportunity for us.
I remember that was the first ones. I was like, wait a second, how'd you score Hershey as like your first customers, man? Like that's crazy. It's
Pittsburgh. That's Pittsburgh. You know, Pittsburgh will open doors for you. Like it's just amazing. And so that's what happened. We got our first client at Hershey. We helped them, you know, figure out what the new chocolate should be because you see they were going through a very interesting phase. The demand for chocolate was declining.
What? Okay? There was an actual decline in demand.
Chocolate, and we're talking about these, you know, end cap chocolates, the ones that the bar chocolates.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they couldn't understand what was happening. They would say, you know, they'd reduce the price, make the bar bigger, turn it around, do different things. But people were not buying chocolate bars because they were competing against like cakes and cookies and brownies and macaroons and
you're making me hungry now, Razi. You're making me hungry.
Yeah, exactly. So they said, what do we do for chocolate? And at that time, AI was just starting to formulate and come together. And what we did was we used a methodology called natural language processing. And then we started to look at forums where people were talking about, you know, baking and recipes. And then we looked at conversations of what we'll be having after dessert while watching Breaking Bad, for example. You know, what were people eating at that time? And what we saw was, especially in the evening, when people were watching Breaking Bad or they were watching Friends, they were watching any, you know, one of those shows at that time, they would take a bag of pretzels, okay, and put it in a bowl and take some chocolate, hot chocolate, melted, and then pour it over their pretzels.
Yeah. Good. Now you're really making me hungry.
And then eat those pretzels. And we said, fascinating. That's interesting.
Tasty.
What's coming in the data? Yeah. So pretzels with chocolate. So my team started to identify that and said, is there a pattern to this information? So we saw that they were doing it similarly with ice cream. So what was happening was they were actually mixing textures.
Right.
So we went back to Hershey and we sat down with them and said, okay, you wish to go after products that are healthy, and health was like Atkins was hot at that time also, and everybody wanted protein and all that stuff.
Okay.
Whereas in the data, people were going indulgent.
Ha.
So we said, go after your health snacking, that's fine, but you need to come up with an indulgent product that has multiple textures in it and has saltiness and sweet, has caramel and gooiness, and has, so they said, okay, I think we know what. So they had a product that was being built a long time ago, and they didn't necessarily launch it.
Huh.
But after this research, they said, let's revive that.
This product, it's got pretzels and caramel in it.
And guess what? It's called Hershey Cookie Crunch, okay? And it has taken off like fire for them. It's just like crazy. It's doing about, it already did $100 million in revenue in the first.
Wow. So here's an item that was on the shelf that they weren't necessarily thinking about doing anything. They came to you with this problem, and you point out what the customers are actually talking about through natural language processing. And they go and take this product off and sell hundreds of millions of dollars of it. So instead of this being a block of marble that you carved into something, you took a block of chocolate, which was their data, and you brought that into something they can make $100
well said. Yep.
Wow,
yeah, exactly.
That's such an awesome story. Only in Pittsburgh, man. Only in Pittsburgh.
I tell you, Pittsburgh, yeah, it's been a great ride for us the last 10 years. We've gotten about, 50 of the top companies now working with us.
Wow. So what kind of problems are you solving for these companies? I'm assuming everyone's got a different kind of problem, but you put your technology to it in order to get them to the root of what's going on and find a solution.
Yeah, so we developed something called consumer behavior model, okay, where for all these companies, we create a model for them that tells them exactly how a consumer is behaving in a category. How are they buying? What are they eating? Okay. How are they consuming? So it gives them that insight that allows them to either come up with new product lines or revive a product or relaunch a new an older product. So it helps them in marketing. It helps them engaging with consumers more actively.
It's too bad Coca-Cola didn't come to you guys back when they tried spinning out that new Coke back in the 80s. You could have saved them a lot of money, a lot of face. That's all I can say. You've done the research. You would have been like, regular Coke is just fine.
Yeah, that's fine. Don't change it. Don't mess with it.
Very cool. So how big is your team here in Pittsburgh now?
We are a small team. We've always been a small team. We have several, like we would say about 12 people.
Okay.
Total. And we moved our offices. We were in your building in next to the river.
Back in the day, I know. I'd see you on the street every day.
Then we went to Station Square, and we had a beautiful view from there. And now we have a building in Shadyside.
Yeah, on Ellsworth
Avenue. Yeah, beautiful location. And we just acquired it last year. We moved into it, and so it's a beautiful space. It's an open space and great conference rooms and everything. It's about 12 people that actually do. And then we have a lot of, I would say, contract people around the country and around the world, because we do global projects. We do projects for Europe. And recently, our area that has opened up is pharmaceutical companies.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
huge,
large pharmaceutical.
That sounds pretty interesting. Yeah, what's up with that?
Well, that was very interesting. So one time I was flying from Asia back, and my nephew called me and said, "Hey, you might want to stop over in London and meet this group that is trying to do some consulting work in pharmaceuticals." And I said, let me, how much extra would that cost me? So, being a small company, you have to look at that. And
you can't just say, "Oh yeah, I'll just land in London and hang out and see what happens."
Yeah, and then he said, "Don't be so cheap, just go." And I said, and my wife said, "Razi, why are you being so cheap? You should just go." And I said, "All right." So I went to London. I met with this group, and this group was working with one of the largest pharmaceutical companies, and they wanted to create a patient behavior model, like a patient journey. And their biggest issue is they don't get enough of interaction with patients, like through focus groups, because what happens is a patient, let's say, is in a 4th stage cancer situation. It's just odd to sit in front of him and ask, or ask questions about, oh, how did you feel when you were first diagnosed?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you're going to start traumatizing
so
people at that point.
it's traumatizing, it's unethical, it sounds really bad. You're like very cold. This methodology doesn't ask anybody any questions. This
You're
is
looking at the forums and stuff like that.
Forums,
right?
where, okay, what people are talking about and how they're, and we were able to create a patient journey and all the leverage points between, you know, when they started taking medicine and treatment and everything.
Okay.
That's what we do with pharmaceuticals now.
That is just amazing. And that's why it's like, man, only Pittsburgh. But right now, I know you're in New York for a bit, which we're kind of a little sad, but we're also very glad for you as well, too. And we know you're going to maintain a lot of 113, you know, in Pittsburgh. So tell us about what you're doing in New York right
now. I don't like New York. I love Pittsburgh. I love Pittsburgh. I like New York to visit here, but living in New York, you can see. I don't know if you can see in the back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, it's just like concrete everywhere. We are in New York because we had an opportunity to move here for a year and see how things work out.
Ooh.
And it's a great opportunity. My wife works for Facebook,
right.
And great company, and they've moved us here for a year, and they're saying to check it out, see how it goes. And we're having a good time finding our place here and looking around and how things work. And it'll be great for 113 a lot, because
Absolutely.
most of consumer packaged good and pharma is in New Jersey.
You're on the home base right now, some new industries you could be working with. So I think now you're like,
exactly.
I'm just now saying that 113 Industries now has a New York office too.
Exactly. Yeah, our headquarters will always be in Pittsburgh, and we are still maintaining our residence in Pittsburgh.
Of course.
We're just, commuting right now to see how things go. But,
definitely.
Yeah.
And through Zoom like this, I mean, come on, man, you can just dial in whenever the heck.
Could be anywhere, right?
So, yeah, it can
exactly.
Be
exactly.
I think it's an opportunity for you. That's for sure. So let's talk about you being an author. I think that's one of the coolest things about you is that you're a freaking author. And you've written some really cool books. You have the new one that just came out, and you're sending me a copy when I can officially get like a hardback copy of it, which I'm really excited.
You should receive it in a day or so. Yeah, it actually looks like this.
Aha! Look at that, Masters of the Broken Watches. So
exactly.
What is this all about? I can only imagine. I can't wait to read this thing.
It's a novel. It's an adventure novel, and it came to me in 2016 when we had just recently moved from suburbia and bought a condo in Pittsburgh, overlooking the Three Rivers, Mount Washington.
Right.
And one time in 2016, I got up and I was looking out, and an idea just sparked in my mind, and it just spun out of control. In about 2 hours, this entire book, 20 chapters, came to me.
What? Are you serious? It's like one of these things.
I'm not exaggerating.
You had it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It just started coming. And then my wife walks up and she says, "What?" I said, "I think I have a second book in my mind." And she said, "Okay." And then book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5. And she says, I mean, the entire concept of the Master series. And it's actually, the book is about a group of, I would say, adventure scientists who are out there trying to find solutions that could solve some major problems. And they're looking for evolutionary breakthroughs, and to, basically biomimic ideas from them, and say, okay, why don't we use this? And this book is about time, and the book is all about how they find a species that can somehow have an effect on time.
Okay.
So
this
is a novel.
Summertime reading, because it is now the dog days of summer, and I know. Book. So this is going to fit the bill. And I know that first off, I can't wait to read, to think about how this all came to you, like in one dose
shot. Yeah, it was like 2 hours, 2-3 hours, and boom, boom, boom. The whole thing came together. One thing you'll read first of all, you may see yourself in a book like this, because the characters are quite relatable. But more importantly, the experiences they're having in this book, we've all had them in our lives. Like situations where time slowed down, where things were going, like you hear about, I could see that happen in front of me, but as if it was all in slow motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, time which goes past you and you said, I just got here 5 minutes ago. Or when you're trying to get to the airport and you're late, but you still make it on time. And you're shocked, how did that happen?
Exactly.
It's a time dilates itself, So you'll find instances in this book that relate to human experiences that we still cannot explain.
That's going to be exciting, and only you could come up with something like this. So this should be so interesting. So not only are you a sculptor of data, but you are also a pretty cool author as well too. I'm assuming, would you paint on the side as well? Any other artistic endeavors that you take on, Razi, that we don't know about?
No painting yet, but writing has become my passion.
That's awesome.
I watch people and I watch characters and I watch. The other day I saw this person I was in Sedona a couple of months ago. Not the other day, but just that thought came to me. And this gentleman who was kind of like walking on the streets barefooted, but he was wearing a duster, like the Western duster. You've seen those, you know. And he walked in and he had a beard and he had a pipe. And he walked in. He walked into this Starbucks or something, and he stood there. And I just looked at him and said, "Boy, isn't that a great character for a book?"
Yeah, exactly.
So now what happens is I could be anywhere, and I'm not bored because I'm just watching and I'm observing.
You're observing and thinking how that could become something interesting.
Exactly.
So
how does that come together? Yeah. And then people share stories like this the next book that I'm writing is called Masters of the Vanishing Walls. And that book is about, situations where things just like your keychain appears and disappears. And you say, I swear to God, I know I kept
fast because I want to learn about this because there's
where did it go? It was right here.
Yeah. I keep thinking it's old age setting in, but there are times when I swear it's like, wait a second, man, you disappeared. Like,
yeah, it just came here. It wasn't here. I know I left my phone here and it's not gone. And I come back, I turn around and it's right there.
Corners of the universe, man. These things are hanging out for a bit because they get stuck and they appear right back. So.
Exactly.
Oh man.
It happened to my wife. My wife was in Philadelphia. She dropped her glasses while playing with my granddaughter in a park. So we come back from the park. First of all, she said, "Oh my God!" And these are important reading glasses.
Right.
So we go back to the park. We can't find them anywhere. We don't find them. We search. We come home. We looked in her bag and we emptied the bag out. Nothing in the bag. So we said, "All right, you know what? We'll get new ones made." And then we drive back. We get to the rest stop on 76. And she had a spare one, and she's playing on her phone. She's playing Scrabble or something, and then she takes her glasses off, and then she looks at them, and she had the actual glasses in her hand.
Are you serious?
I'm not exaggerating. This happened to her. She said, "Where did these come from? Because they were not in my bag. They were not, Anyway, so the book is about that. The second book.
That's going to be your third book. Nah, I'm excited. So cool, man. I love it. Razi, I'm so glad we got to catch up today. Like I said, it's
same here.
Joy, because I'm going to tell everybody, if people want to find your book, can they find it on Amazon?
Yeah, just type in Masters of the Broken Watches on Amazon. You'll find it. It's right there. You can, and right now I did this a couple of days ago for your community, the Pittsburgh Technology Council. They can get the ebook for 99 cents.
Oh, we'll put that in the liner notes. Let everybody know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I brought it down to 99 cents. I'll keep it like that for a week so that they could, if they're interested in a book like this, they'll enjoy it. It's, by the way, we've gotten on Goodreads, I'm getting like almost 27 reviews on almost all 4 or 5 stars on it.
Wow.
And these are reviews that are people reading it. So yeah.
Oh,
so it's gaining traction.
When's my hard copy going to get here?
I'm sure you'll enjoy it.
I know, because you wrote it. You got some great stuff.
I hope you do. Yeah.
Thanks for
Well,
hanging
thanks
out.
for
Yeah.
this.
Appreciate so much being part of our Comcast, our summer of 50 Pittsburgh tech stories. This is one of the cool stories I've told all summer without a doubt, man. It's gonna be hard to top this.
Yeah, well, you guys are doing great work. Thank you for, driving Pittsburgh forward and doing such great work
We're trying
with
to
you and Audrey and the whole team. Yeah.
appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Okay.